Hey there, Slug Slingers, it's Ian from Fox Typewriters. Today I'm just going to do a little video to update those who are interested in our 3D printing process and progress. Got a 3D printer from a very good friend of mine who is an engineer and decided that if one 3D printer is good, then 4 is likely better. So the good thing about having friends like that is that there's loads of cast off. So I went ahead and was able to score what is essentially a Chinese clone of an ANET A8. It's my understanding that it's sort of a basic 3D printer, but it is highly customizable. And the really neat part is that you can actually 3D print the customizable pieces that you need, for the most part. I haven't got into any of that yet. Basically just kind of getting the basics. I got, probably around Christmas time last year, got myself one of those XP pens. It's kind of like a Wacom, but it's there's a much larger area where you can draw on the surface space. But otherwise it seems to pretty much function the same way. I've got some really exciting merch coming out soon that I actually created on the XP pen, so keep an eye out for that. You'll be able to find all that stuff, by the way, shameless plug, on my new Etsy store. Yes, that's right, I've made the leap to Etsy. I was resistant for a real long time because I wanted to kind of keep control at home of my pricing and everything like that. Doing it through my website and using Square for all these years has been beneficial because it keeps my processing fees low so that I can continue to adhere to our business philosophy, which is that we try and keep just our base level service typewriters accessible to most everybody so that finances aren't necessarily the leap that you can't make in order to get your own vintage typing machine. That said, I also need to make this into a full-time gig. I got 3 hungry kids, and my wife can't shoulder all the burden. So, here we are. What you will find, though, is that I'm going to go ahead and keep the original website, which will reflect that savings that you're going to get through my website versus if you order off of Etsy. You're all very, very smart people. I'm going to let you suss that out for yourself. Go on ironfoxtypewriters.com and then find me on Etsy. I'm pretty sure that you can do the math and figure out where it may be most cost beneficial for you to order from. Moving on to the thing that everybody's been waiting for. So I've been fooling around with little things here, like I found plans on Thingiverse, which is a really cool open source resource where other 3D printing nerds go and they make their own 3D printing designs, and then they share them for other people to use. The nice thing about it is they're in an editable format, so you can use, again, more open source material like Tinkercad, where you can go in and once you get the hang of what you're doing, you can just kind of, as the name indicates, you can tinker with it. And then you can customize things to the way that you like them, make things potentially better, or just more workable for you. So I started with these guys. Everybody knows them. You either love them or you hate them. The Skywriter spool. This is actually a 3D printed model. You'll see the difference between a regular, the regular old plastic ones, and obviously it's going to be different from the metal ones. Nobody at me. Is that, in this case here, I'm not printing to a glass bed. I've got a metal bed, but I keep tape over it in order to make sure that I can get stuff unstuck. Because that's an ugly bit of 3D printing that nobody tells you right up front, is that your stuff is going to stick to the bed. So I just recently switched over to a less fibrous tape that's going to leave less of this, hopefully. But for Mark 1, these are pretty good. Going forward, I'm going to go, these are done with PLA, which is, again, from my reading, I'm not an expert, is an easier to use, more malleable plastic, but it also is, you probably can't see, maybe you can, but it's also not as hard as what's called Petg, P-E-T-G. Apparently it's easier to work with and the same as PLA like this. However, when it cures, it does cure a lot harder, which will be nice. I will in the future probably go ahead and thicken both of the top and the bottom of the spool. The rest of it doesn't necessarily need to be Petg, but I would like to do at least those parts of the spool. The real interesting part that whoever initially designed these just absolutely nailed is actually the clips that go inside. I was worried about, I'm gonna have to dig that out, I was worried about obviously the tensile strength of these, because normally they come in metal. I've had to form and bend my own pieces out of metal in order to get some spools to be usable. These are actually fantastic. They snap right on. Boom, and it's on there. I'm not going to take it off right there. Oh, you know what? Whatever. I'll go ahead and take it off. Anybody who's ever had to do this knows what's bound to happen next. And there it goes. I'll get that one later too. Or I'll just print some more. So, then I started getting kind of nuts and maybe overconfident. And I decided there's a few key tools that I'm lucky to have that a lot of other people aren't so lucky, because they're very rare. And when you get one, you never give it up. So one of those tools that I decided, because it was a pretty easy design and an easy print too, one of those tools was this little bender bar. All right, stamped IBM. The sides are very different. This one is pretty much the same from top to bottom. This one gives you a little bit wider of a bite, and it's also grooved at the top and then into that long sort of area like the other side. This has saved my bacon, I can't tell you how many times, and I'm sure that there are lots of other mechanics and enthusiasts who can't get their hands on one of these that would 100% benefit from one. So why not? So of course, if you've been paying attention, you have seen Mark I, okay? Mark I, honestly, I started using Tinkercad. I got myself I've had, but for this experiment, I used a pair of digital calipers so that I could measure the thickness and the height and get everything spot on from the original as closely as I could. So you'll see, functionally, it's kind of close. It's not bad, but there's a reason that it's Mark I. I still wanted to do little holes on either side so that you could hang it from a pegboard or something like that, or really functionally, if you were ever to get a split from up one of the mouths of one of these things, it's only going to split to that hole and then it's going to stop, so that functionally you can still use the other side if you need to. So obviously you'll see there are definitely some things that do not line up. However, it's tough. I mean, it's going to bend like that, but that's not how we're bending bars. So again, don't at me, save it. Really where it is this point right up here, where the tension, let's see if I can find something that's going to fit. Okay, where the tension, and you're twisting, right, and you're putting the torsion on there, and you're going to be able to bend a bar no problem with this thing. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to take it another step or two further with the Mark II. Okay, now you'll see going forward the obvious differences. I'm starting to get the angles down and everything. I made the hole smaller because really you don't need much more than that in order to hang it on a pegboard. You'll also see, right, now here's the wide side. You'll see that I started to fine tune that a little bit more. I still have to trim some of the support edges off and everything like that. This one's already fully trimmed. But we're getting closer to it. Okay, so let's put them together. Wham, bam. Okay, we're getting a lot closer here. Let's go ahead and put them together like this. Look at that. A few small differences, but that's going to be what it's going to be. Okay, but again, this one's actually stronger than the first one because the holes are smaller, and also the dimensions on the inside of each of the mouths are more accurate to the original model. So that's pretty much it for now as far as 3D printing goes. I ordered some of that Petg filament today, hoping to get that by the end of the week. I've already tinkered with Mark II on Tinkercad to make a few different changes. Obviously I'm gonna brand them, maybe make the entire wrench just a little bit thicker. But probably not until I get that next model out with the Petg and see just how hard it does cure. Any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to hit me down in the comment section. Hope everybody's having a great